The screen fades into a star-filled expanse, the quiet hum of engines filling the silence. Captain Rogers stands in the command center of his ship, the horizon, a mix of determination and unease etched on his face. The glow of holographic displays reflects in his eyes as he gazes at a galactic map dominated by red zones. Explorers of the unknown, Rogers begins, his voice calm yet resolute. This is Captain Rogers, welcoming you to mission number. Let's call it Mission Impossible. The bridge crew chuckles nervously, but Rogers doesn't smile. You see that? He points to the map, where hostile territories are spreading like wildfire. This isn't just another corner of space to chart. This isn't just about discovery. It's about survival. Rogers taps the console, bringing up images of devastated colonies, scorched planets, and shattered ships. Reports are pouring in, entire systems burned to cinders, fleets obliterated. The Cul'tar, the self-proclaimed overlords of the galaxy, have declared war. Not just on us, on everyone. He turns to face the crew, his eyes fierce with determination. And why? Because they think we're weak. Because humans and our allies have spent decades playing nice, negotiating, sharing, coexisting. They think our kindness is a sign of weakness. But they're about to learn a hard truth. The hum of the engines grows louder as the ship accelerates toward its destination. Today we stop being nice. Today, we remind the galaxy why Deathworlders, humans, should never be underestimated. The scene cuts to the ship entering hyperspace, streaks of light filling the frame as the crew steels themselves for what's to come. The horizon emerges from hyperspace, the streaks of light fading into the starry void. In the distance, a massive space station looms, a bastion of human and allied ingenuity. Its glowing lights flicker faintly, a testament to the strain of the recent conflicts. Captain Rogers gathers his crew in the briefing room, the atmosphere tense, yet charged with purpose. Alpha, Rogers says, motioning to the ship's AI. Let's hear the full rundown. A holographic projection of the galaxy materializes, highlighting the Cul'tar territory expanding like a plague. Alpha's smooth, calculated voice fills the room. The Cul'tar Empire has launched simultaneous offensives across 17 systems. Their fleets outnumber ours 4-1, and their weaponry has been optimized for planetary bombardment. Current estimates project a 65% probability of total Allied collapse within 60 days without intervention. The room falls silent. Rogers scans the faces of his crew, veterans and newcomers alike, their expressions a mix of fear and resolve. But we're not just intervening, are we? Rogers says, breaking the silence. Alpha's tone sharpens. Correct, Captain. The Horizon will spearhead Operation Iron Horizon, a multi-phase counterstrike designed to cripple the Cul'tar's logistical backbone. Phase 1. Infiltrate the Central Command Station orbiting Ravenous Prime. Rogers nods, his voice steady. Ravenous Prime. That's where it all begins. If we sever their chain of command, we give the galaxy a fighting chance. The Horizon streaks toward Ravenous Prime, a desolate planet enveloped in swirling ash storms. The Cul'tar Command Station orbits high above, a menacing structure bristling with weapons and defenses. Rogers stands at the observation deck, studying the station with a critical eye. Alpha cloak status? Cloaking systems are fully operational. However, Captain, I must caution that the Cul'tar have advanced sensor arrays capable of detecting even minute anomalies. Rogers grins faintly. Good. Let's give them something to notice. The Horizon slips past the station's outer defenses, its cloaking device flickering as it adjusts to the powerful sensor sweeps. Rogers and his strike team suit up, black, angular combat armor designed for stealth and resilience. Each member carries a plasma rifle and a personal shield emitter. Team, Rogers says, his tone commanding, remember the mission. We're not here to play heroes. We take out their command network and get out. Swift, silent, lethal. The team nods, their expressions grim but determined. As the Horizon's bay doors open, they leap into the void, jetpacks propelling them toward the station. The team breaches the station's hull, entering through a maintenance hatch. The interior is dark and labyrinthine, the hum of Cul'tar machinery resonating through the walls. Rogers signals for silence as they advance, their boots soundless on the metallic floors. Alpha, guide us to the command hub, Rogers whispers. Approximately 300 meters ahead, Captain. For Cul'tar patrols detected en route. The team encounters the first patrol, a trio of towering Cul'tar soldiers, their exoskeletal armor glinting under the dim lights. Rogers signals to his sniper, who silently takes them down with precision shots. The team moves forward, dismantling security drones and bypassing locked doors with Alpha's assistance. They reach the command hub, a cavernous room filled with glowing consoles and Cul'tar officers barking orders. Rogers crouches behind cover, studying the enemy's movements. "Explorers, this is where it gets messy," he says, his voice low but steady. "We hit them hard and fast. No survivors." The team launches their attack, plasma rifles blazing. The Cul'tar officers scramble to respond, but the humans' superior tactics and coordination overwhelm them. Rogers moves like a force of nature, his every shot precise, his shield absorbing incoming fire as he clears the room. "Alpha, deploy the virus," Rogers commands. Alpha activates a data spike, flooding the Cul'tar systems with a crippling virus that shuts down communications and disrupts their fleet's command structure. "Mission accomplished," Rogers says, his voice tinged with satisfaction. "Now let's get out before they realize what hit them." The team retraces their steps, but the station is now on high alert. Alarms blare as Cul'tar reinforcements flood the corridors. Rogers leads the team through a gauntlet of enemy fire, his tactical brilliance and unshakable resolve keeping them one step ahead. "Alpha, status on extraction?" The Horizon is en route to the designated extraction point. ETA, 3 minutes. The team reaches the outer hull, engaging their jetpacks to return to the ship. The Horizon's guns roar to life, providing covering fire as they board. Rogers collapses into his seat, his breath heavy but his expression victorious. "Phase 1 complete," he says, his voice steady despite the chaos. "Let's see how the Cul'tar like fighting blind." The success of the mission sends shockwaves through the galaxy. Allied forces rally, emboldened by the disruption of the Cul'tar's command network. Messages pour in from distant systems, resistance groups rising up, fleets coordinating counterattacks. But the Cul'tar, though wounded, are far from defeated. "Captain," Alpha warns, "Cul'tar forces are regrouping. They've designated humanity as their primary target. They're coming for us." Rogers leans back, his expression calm but determined. "Good. Let them come. They're about to learn the hard way what it means to fight Deathworlders." The Horizon streaks away from ravenous Prime, leaving the burning station in its wake. On board, the mood is a mix of exhilaration and grim determination. Rogers stands in the command center, staring at a holographic projection of the galaxy as Alpha updates their situation. "Captain," Alpha begins, "the disruption of the Cul'tar command network has slowed their fleet movements by 48%, buying Allied systems an estimated 3 weeks of reprieve. However, Cul'tar retaliation is inevitable. They are mobilizing forces toward human territories." Rogers exhales sharply, gripping the edge of the console. "They've underestimated us for too long. Now they're making the opposite mistake, thinking they can crush us through brute force. They don't realize what they've awakened." The bridge crew watches their captain, inspired by his resolve. Lieutenant Voss, the ship's tactical officer, steps forward. "Sir, what's our next move?" "The Allies are holding, but they won't last without leadership." Rogers nods, his voice steady. "We don't just fight back, we show them that this galaxy won't bow to their tyranny. We're going on the offensive." The Horizon docks at an Allied outpost, a station orbiting the barren world of Oris. The once bustling hub now bears scars of war, its corridors filled with wounded soldiers and frantic engineers repairing damaged ships. Rogers steps into the central council chamber, where representatives of the allied species have gathered. Among them are the Elvathai, slender beings with crystalline skin that shimmers in the dim light. The Trezzen, stout and armored, their faces obscured by ceremonial helmets, and the Mervolans, aquatic creatures encased in protective exosuits. "Captain Rogers," says High Chancellor Eeler of the Elvathai, her tone both respectful and wary, "your actions on Ravenous Prime have shifted the tide. But you've also drawn the full wrath of the Cul'tar. Do you understand what this means?" Rogers steps forward, his gaze unwavering. "I do. It means we stop waiting for them to pick us off one by one. It means we stand together and fight back. Not as fragmented worlds, but as a united galaxy." The council murmurs, doubt and hope mingling in their voices. A Trezzen warrior slams his fist on the table. "We've lost entire fleets to the Cul'tar. What can humanity offer that we haven't already tried?" Rogers meets his gaze, his voice sharp. "Humans are survivors. We've thrived on a death world for millennia. We're not just fighters, we're adaptable. Give us the resources, and we'll show the Cul'tar what happens when they push Deathworlders too far." With the Council's reluctant approval, Rogers spearheads the next phase of Operation Iron Horizon. The goal: dismantle the Cul'tar's resource supply chains, crippling their war effort. The Horizon becomes the nerve center of a rapidly growing resistance fleet, combining human ingenuity with allied technology. The first target is Ellerin 4, a Cul'tar mining world critical to their production of Starship-grade alloys. Rogers leads a joint strike team composed of humans and allies, blending the strengths of each species. The team infiltrates the mining facility under cover of darkness, disabling key defenses before launching a full-scale assault. The battle is fierce, with Cul'tar forces swarming to protect their resources. Rogers fights at the front lines, his combat armor glowing faintly from the energy shield as plasma bolts ricochet around him. Beside him, an Elvathai warrior uses crystalline projectiles to incapacitate enemies, while a Mervelin engineer hacks into Cul'tar systems to disable automated defenses. As the facility crumbles, Rogers orders the evacuation. "Explorers, we've done what we came to do. Let's move before this place takes us with it." The Horizon's engines roar to life as it departs, leaving Ellerin 4 engulfed in flames. The galaxy takes notice. Deathworlders are no longer playing defense. The Cul'tar retaliate with devastating force, targeting human colonies and allied strongholds. Reports flood in of destroyed settlements and massacred civilians. The crew of the Horizon grapples with the weight of their mission. In a rare moment of vulnerability, Rogers addresses his crew in the ship's mess hall. "I know you're tired. I know you're angry. So am I. Every report we get feels like another punch to the gut. But that's exactly what the Cul'tar want, to break us before we can finish the fight. We can't let that happen." The crew listens in silence, their captain's words reigniting their determination. The culmination of the expanded offensive is a bold plan to take down a Cul'tar warforge, a massive orbital factory that churns out their most advanced warships. The mission is dangerous, bordering on suicidal, but Rogers knows it's the key to crippling their fleet. The Horizon leads a coalition fleet to the forge, engaging in a brutal space battle as smaller strike teams infiltrate the facility. Rogers himself boards the forge, leading his team through its labyrinthine corridors to plant explosive charges at critical points. The Cul'tar resistance is fierce, but Rogers' team fights with unmatched ferocity. The Deathworlders' reputation grows with every enemy they take down, their determination unyielding even in the face of overwhelming odds. The destruction of the Warforge is a resounding victory, sending shockwaves through the Cul'tar Empire. For the first time, the galaxy sees that the tide can turn. Resistance movements across allied and neutral systems rise, emboldened by the Deathworlders' example. In a broadcast to the galaxy, Rogers addresses not just the allies, but every species watching. "This is our galaxy. It belongs to all of us, not to conquerors, not to tyrants. The Cul'tar made a mistake when they underestimated us. And now we're showing them that kindness isn't weakness, it's strength. We're not just fighting for survival. We're fighting for freedom, for unity, for the future." The Horizon floats silently in the void, its hull bearing the scars of countless battles. Inside, the crew works tirelessly to prepare for what could be their final mission. Rogers stands alone on the observation deck, staring at the endless expanse of stars. Alpha's voice cuts through the quiet. "Captain, the Cul'tar fleet is converging on Arctura Prime. Current estimates place their numbers at over 2,000 ships." Rogers doesn't flinch, his gaze fixed on the stars. "And the Allies? Combined fleets total 700 ships, Captain. Superior tactics may delay their advance, but victory under current conditions is improbable." Rogers turns to face the AI, his expression resolute. "Then we'll change the conditions." He steps onto the bridge, addressing his crew with a voice that carries both determination and hope. "Explorers, this is it. The Cul'tar have pushed us to the brink, and now they're coming to finish the job. But today we show them what it means to face Deathworlders. We're going to Arctura Prime, not just to fight, but to win. This is for every colony they've burned, every life they've taken, and every world they've tried to claim as their own. Let's make history." The Allied fleet assembles near the shattered remains of Arctura's moons, a desperate yet determined force. The Cul'tar arrive in overwhelming numbers, their massive warships blotting out the stars. Rogers stands at the command console of the Horizon, his voice steady as he gives orders. "All ships, hold the line. We're not retreating. Not today." The Cul'tar open fire, their weapons unleashing waves of destruction. The Allied fleet responds, smaller ships darting through the chaos to strike at vulnerable points in the Cul'tar formations. The Horizon leads the charge, its cannons blazing as it weaves through enemy fire. Alpha, status on the Cul'tar command ship. Rogers demands. Located at the center of their fleet, heavily shielded and surrounded by escorts. Direct approach is not advised. Rogers smirks, his confidence unshaken. Good thing I've never been one for advice. Rogers devises a daring plan. The Horizon will breach the Cul'tar command ship, planting an explosive device at its core to destabilize the entire fleet. It's a suicide mission, but Rogers knows it's the only way to ensure victory. As the Horizon barrels toward the enemy flagship, the crew works with laser focus, their fear tempered by their trust in their captain. Enemy fire rips through the Allied fleet, but the Horizon presses on, cutting a path through the chaos. The ship breaches the Cul'tar flagship's hull, and Rogers leads a strike team into its heart. The corridors are filled with resistance, Cul'tar soldiers pouring in from every direction. Rogers fights like a man possessed, his plasma rifle cutting through enemies as he pushes forward. The team reaches the ship's core, a massive chamber filled with pulsating energy conduits. Rogers plants the explosive device, its timer ticking down as the team fights off waves of Cul'tar reinforcements. "Captain, the charge is set," Lieutenant Voss shouts over the chaos. "We need to move." Rogers nods, leading the team back toward the breach. The fighting intensifies, the Cul'tar desperate to stop them. One by one, the team makes it back to the Horizon, but Rogers lags behind, holding off the enemy to ensure his crew's escape. "Captain, we're out of time," Voss shouts from the ship's ramp. Rogers fires one last shot, taking down the remaining enemies before sprinting toward the ship. He leaps just as the breach begins to collapse, landing hard on the ramp as the Horizon pulls away. The Horizon races away from the flagship as the timer counts down. The Allied fleet disengages, retreating to a safe distance. Rogers watches from the observation deck as the Cul'tar command ship detonates, a blinding explosion tearing through the enemy fleet. The chain reaction disables dozens of ships, turning the tide of the battle. "Captain," Alpha reports, "Cul'tar forces are in disarray. Allied forces are pushing forward." Cheers erupt across the Horizon's bridge, but Rogers remains calm, his gaze fixed on the battlefield. "Signal all ships," he says. "Let's finish this." The Allied fleet capitalizes on the chaos, driving the Cul'tar into full retreat. The Battle of Arctura Prime ends in a decisive victory, the first major turning point in the war. The galaxy rejoices, stories of the Deathworlders' bravery spreading like wildfire. Back on the Horizon, the crew gathers in the mess hall, their exhaustion overshadowed by the weight of what they've achieved. Rogers stands at the center, his voice steady but filled with emotion. "Explorers, today we did more than survive. We proved that this galaxy belongs to all of us, not to tyrants, not to conquerors, but to those who fight for freedom. The Cul'tar will remember this day, not because of their loss, but because we showed them that Deathworlders don't back down. And neither does this alliance." The room erupts in applause, the crew's pride and determination shining through. The Horizon drifts through space, its engines humming softly. Rogers stands at the observation deck, the stars stretching endlessly before him. Alpha's voice interrupts the quiet. "Captain, transmissions are flooding in from across the galaxy. Resistance movements are rising in systems we thought lost. The Cul'tar are retreating on multiple fronts." Rogers nods, his gaze unwavering. "It's not over yet, Alpha, but we've given them hope. That's the first step." He turns to the crystalline artifact resting on the console, a symbol of the alliances forged through blood and fire. "Prepare the Horizon," Rogers says. "We've got a galaxy to rebuild, and if the Cul'tar try this again, they'll find out just how unkind Deathworlders can be." The ship accelerates into hyperspace, its glowing engines leaving a trail of light against the darkness. The camera lingers on the stars, a reminder of the infinite possibilities that await. Captain Rogers signing off. "See you on the next adventure."